There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, where we have my special guest, Kathleen McLellan from the Government Accountability Project. And I wanted to give her an opportunity before we get to it. There's a lot of things I wanted to make sure I got into this segment, but I want to, get pens and paper. I tell you what, while you're getting that ready, we want her to have an opportunity because this is important. I mean, you definitely want to have an impact. Doing what? I mean, we're activists. We know how to make this go work. But, I mean, who's listening? Who are we going to influence? I say it's us. We got to figure this thing out. We keep worrying about what the bad guys think. They're going, go away, little peoples. We don't care. They're not leaders. They're followers. They follow a culture of, pitchforks and torches, I guess. And my thing is the Whistleblower Protection Act. I mean, the earlier version, I remember it was during, it's become a big deal during the Reagan administration, Bush, and so on. So the first one, the Whistleblower Protection Act of '89. Now, when this was passed, it was like, okay, if you got a federal employee, they can, let loose on these guys and say, look what bad stuff they did. And I don't know where the pressure was coming from. But when they call something coming out of Washington, the Whistleblower Protection Act, I mean, it's kind of like the Patriot Act or We Love You Act or No Child Left Behind or, whatever they call it, it's the opposite. I mean, they're just going to scream. Well, here we have, former director of the CIA, George Daddy Bush, and he's signing into law. Well, guess what I know? It's not there to protect whistleblowers, you know what I mean? It's there to control them or to manage them or who's going to fund their prosecution. If you were to sit there and look through it, I guarantee it eventually comes out to the advantage of the man. So they go through back and forth. I am very skeptical of the government, certainly without some big Rosa Parks case, somebody, had to go to the back of the bus or something that caused them to pass it. All of a sudden, from out of the blue, director of the CIA becomes president, and we got to have a Whistleblower Protection Act, and I'm going to feel better? How about not? So I'm going, all right. But you get to have a role, and Kathleen's going to help us out with this. Kathleen McLellan, please tell the audience you need help. What would you like them to do?
Well, I think, first of all, the Whistleblower Protection Act, it was great. It was the result of a, decades-long campaign by advocacy groups, and the language is very good, and it has since, been eradicated by, bad court decisions and broken administrative processes. So there's a few things that you can do on that front, and the first is that you can support the Whistleblower Protection Enhancement Act, which is something being campaigned for right now in the 112th Congress, and you can go to makeitsafecampaign.org, and that will give you the details on that piece of legislation and how to support it. As far as Thomas Drake goes and helping him, I think there's two big important pieces of media that you should focus on and tweet about and share however you possibly can. And the first is Jane Mayer's recent New Yorker article, and the second is the 60 Minutes segment featuring Tom Drake, which was on last night. Both are available on the New Yorker and 60 Minutes websites, respectively, and you can tweet about them. As far as helping Tom Drake, here at GAP, we've started a petition on a website called change.org. And you can go there and type in Tom Drake, or you can go to whistleblower.org and learn all sorts of details about Drake's case and how you can help him. And there's links to the petition there. And there's also a Save Tom Drake Facebook page, and you can like that and get up-to-the-minute updates about news on Mr. Drake's case.
And when's the trial? I mean, are you going to trial? Is there one scheduled?
Trial's currently sent for June 13th. He will be on trial for charges brought under the Espionage Act, which is really a tragedy considering that if he was spying on anybody, he was spying for the American people.
Okay, now, when were these charges filed?
They were filed in April 2010, I believe, which is during the Obama administration. The Obama Justice Department brought these charges. The case was in the works, began during the Bush administration, but it was the Obama administration that filed the indictment.
Okay. Someone that's in Washington, you've been dealing with this stuff. I have to ask you, who do you think's really in charge of the White House? I mean, is it the president? Are there other interests that determine what gets done and not done? I mean, come on, you're there. Tell me what you think.
Well, I think that there's no secret that President Obama does not hates unapproved leaks, and I underline unapproved because there are plenty of leaks out there. And there's no secret that President Obama wants to look strong on national security. And I think it's important to look at what people are blowing the whistle on. But as far as who's in charge in Washington, if you look at who's in charge of the national security establishment, and particularly the intelligence industrial complex, if you look at the contractors, if you look at Washington Post's piece last year called Top Secret America, it's the same people that were in charge during the Bush administration. It's the same people who are advising President Obama on national security policy. And I think that that's the reason that we're seeing a lot of the same, and in the case of whistleblower prosecutions, a much more severe reaction coming from the Obama administration.
Well, we have experience here in Arizona with Janet Napolitano. She was our governor. I met her on the campaign trail. No, we get it, and she's got her own checkered past, goes back into, being a criminal defense attorney for on videotape bribing legislators that then become her co-chief of staff when she's governor. So, so we already get it. The thing is that, and it's not secret, but what happens is they go to Washington, they do their stuff, and then you get the Chertoff thing. All of a sudden, who's back lobbying for, the scanners at the airports, and it's money. The Homeland Security needs corrupt people in order to get the money to continue the flow. And this is what you're dealing with. You're going up against enormous amounts of money, and billions. If not, heck, it gets you get a few billion together, all of a sudden you got a trillion. So this surveillance complex, that's what you're up against, right?
Well, absolutely. And, I think that in a certain respect, Eisenhower was right. It's not the military-industrial complex. It's the intelligence surveillance complex. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of things Sunlight can do for that. If American people know where their money's going, if they know that the National Security Agency is wasting $1.2 billion
they know they don't care.
Well, that's, I think, what people should do, and that's why I think people can show that Americans do care by signing the petition, by liking the Save Tom Drake Facebook page, and by, calling their congressman and registering their support for the Whistleblower Protection Enhancement Act. And these things do work eventually. There is movement.
Okay, I want to ask you this as we get to the end of the show here. I would be remiss if I didn't point out that all the things that you're talking about, all the activities of the young people behind exactly what you're talking about, the accountability of government, the proper role of the waste and management, abuse, fraud, all this stuff, this is what's been screamed by all these supporters of Dr. Ron Paul. How do you look at a Republican, libertarian, whatever you want to call him, Ron Paul? Does he get any bit of a nod from supporters of Drake? Would you think that they would go, yeah, what he says, or they just know he's a Republican, or we're not playing politics, or we do it only in the court system? How does that play into it?
Well, I think, when it comes to Tom Drake supporters, it really is a nonpartisan issue. Drake told the New Yorker he was registered as Republican, as are, the other people who filed the Inspector General complaint that he was a witness for it. When it comes to wasting taxpayer money and government staying out of your lives, that's not a partisan issue. And to the extent that Ron Paul is supportive of those issues, then that's a good thing.
Well, I'm wondering who else we can trust. Seriously.
I don't know that Ron Paul is the only person we can trust.
Oh, you can name. You got time? You can name me some names, man, because I'm looking for them.
Well, there's before he was ejected, Senator Feingold showed real promise when he voted against the Patriot Act, and he was the only senator to do so. And so there are good people in government. There really are. I think they need to be educated, and I think they need to know that their constituents care about this stuff.
I'm not sure I put Feingold in good category, but I'm glad that you can name somebody that voted against the Patriot Act from the Senate. Hey, Kathleen, thanks for spending time with us, and hopefully we can get you some help and made your time worth it, because I know a lot of the people out there, they have no problem whatsoever just going and friending and forwarding to Facebook, and we've made all of this stuff available on the top of freedomsphoenix.com right now. Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. You go there right now, you have the 60-minute interview, you have the New Yorker article, and you have this interview with Kathleen McLellan. Now, Kathleen, I really appreciate you doing it. Good luck, and if there's something we can do to help in the future, you be sure to let us know, okay?
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
You bet. Good luck. We'll be back tomorrow here on Declare Your Independence. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.